Welcome aboard the BESETO Express. We'll cover 3 countries: Beijing in China, Sei, Seoul in Korea, and Tokyo in Japan. Together we'll explore the culture of BESETO. All aboard the BESETO Express.
The pagodas of the Orient all started in India. Pagodas originate from the grand Buddhist culture, and they are the body of Buddha, which is the center of Buddhism. However, towers of the West embody different meanings. They embody historical or monumental characters rather than religious significance as seen in Asia. Also, they are usually bigger and taller than the pagodas of the Orient. The BESETO countries are also a part of the Buddhist culture of the Orient. Many pagodas of China are brick towers made with different types of bricks. Having many trees, most Japanese pagodas are made of wood. Korean pagodas are mostly a stone tower style made of granite.
Hi everyone, my name is Sunmin Kim. Do you ever remember reading in the Bible about a famous tower, the Tower of Babel? The Tower of Babel was built very highly in height because the people in their own way thought that they would challenge God. These towers may not be in existence today, but we can still picture and imagine in our minds the greatness of these towers. In the West, however, the towers are very important in height still, whereas in the East, people have different opinions about towers. They don't think it's their need or that they're doing a good deed by emphasizing on the height of the towers. Let's go into the 3 BESETO countries and explore and discover the differences and the purposes of these towers.
The pagoda came into Korea from India via China, together with Buddhism in the 4th century. So if there was a Buddhist temple, there was always a pagoda. And if there was a pagoda, there was always a sanctuary of Buddha. The very first forms of pagodas are presumed to be of wood, like those of China, but no actual artifacts remain due to the forces of nature slowly wearing them down. Pagodas of Korea have graceful curves and harmonize well with their surroundings. With the development of Buddhism, the pagoda becomes a subject of worship, and its forms become quite different from its earlier forms. Although it started with wooden forms, it started to develop into stone towers, which enabled them to last longer. Japan had well-developed wood architecture, so wood was the major material for pagodas. Since Buddhism was passed on to Japan later than China or Korea, the history of pagodas is short. If we observe the characteristics of its pagodas, we see that some enable one to travel inside it. Inside the pagoda are carvings that depict the years of how Buddha practiced aestheticism and becomes enlightened. If you look at the ceiling from inside, you will be able to see that the whole pagoda is made of wood. Using wood, Japanese pagodas embody an intricate beauty. The very first towers of India were called the stupa or the thupa. They were passed on to China with Buddhism and was called the Ta in China, borrowing the sounds. The pagoda was always a holy subject of worship in which the bones of Buddha resided. China had a well-developed multi-storied building architecture, combined their own styles with the original forms of towers, and created a unique form of the pagoda. So many of the Chinese pagodas are forms of multi-storied buildings in which people can travel inside. As years went by, pagodas developed into different shapes according to different regions and times in history. However, most of them were brick towers which were built up with grandeur using a wide array of bricks. Pagodas were built on roads where people passed by, which enabled the people to make worship anytime they wanted. And sometimes they functioned as observatories where people could go up on a ladder and look around the surrounding areas.
Traditions and customs are very important to the people in the East. And so there were traditional towers in the East. Back then, a boy and a girl's dating place was very limited among the people. So instead, they would go on top of the tower and walk around the tower. Just imagine on a warm summer night, the moon is shining bright, you're with the person that you love, walking around the tower, and they also say that you can make a wish at the top of the tower, and supposedly that wish is supposed to come true. I wonder if that couple wished that they would fall in love forever and ever. Therefore, why don't we travel to the 3 different BESETO countries and see what kind of wishes were made at their towers?
Japanese people traditionally like formative arts. So when you look at their pagodas, you can feel the temperate beauty of their architecture hiding in its elaborateness. Most wooden pagodas have pointy tips that look like they would pierce the sky. Wooden pagodas that have different proportions for each story are about 3.4 meters high, with beautiful connecting curves. This beautiful 3-storied pagoda is a national treasure of Japan. Since it is wooden, it was burnt down several times by fire, but it was restored in the Kamakuri dynasty and still remains so today. Kofukugi, a 5-story pagoda, was also burnt down and restored 5 times after it was first built in the year 730 AD. It is one of the taller pagodas in Japan, being 50.8 meters tall.
일본 목탑의 형태는 그것이 매우 직선적입니다. 일반적으로 일본 건축이 그런 것과 마찬가지로 인들이 가지고 있는 미적 감각이 그런 직선에서 찾으려고 했는지 모르겠지만 일본의 그런 수많은 탑이 주로 나라 지역에 고대 탑이 많이 있습니다만 그런 탑들은 주로 1층에서부터 2, 3층으로 올라가면 체감이 서로 줄어드는 것이 갑자기 줄어듭니다.
Chinese pagodas embody both grandeur and intricateness. Among them, the Xianxian Fusita is a representative style of the Mianxi pagoda and is made with bricks. The Xianjian Jisita is also a pagoda of the same style, which is tall in height, but with less space in between each story. The Mianxi-style pagodas, which give off even more splendor than the multi-story building styles, seem to have formal and intricate shapes. This 15-story Hinan Dingfing Fawang Shita seems to have well-molded proportions. The representative pagoda of the Yunnan region of China is the Zinzunta, which is a multi-story tower made of bricks. This tower especially has a large number of eaves. There are a total of 16 stories. There is a ladder inside, so people could go up and enjoy the sights or observe the whereabouts of the enemy. As such, Chinese pagodas developed a new style of their own by assimilating their traditional styles of architecture. This embodies not only artistic and religious values, but also a social significance in which man and architecture come together.
最早啊，是这个，按理说不应该灯塔的，因为这个塔有这么几个部分，特殊的从结构上来说，一个就是地宫叫，地宫啊，到中国来之后也是就等于中国这个皇帝啊，这个反正是死了人啊，都要埋在地下，所以他把佛的舍利啊就埋在地下，完了上面嘛修塔。后来呢，这个塔很高啊，是个高楼啊，因此呢，它产生另外一个效益，就是可以登高远望，所以这个早期的就是登高很高，它可以观看风景，它本身也是一个点缀风景名胜的一个很重要的一个标志了，完了嘛，它还有个特点，就是它这个从结构上说啊，一个是地宫，一个塔身，还有个刹，就顶上这个最高那个地方，这就是这个一个标志了。这个塔同其他楼也好，阁也好不同的，就是它顶上有个刹，刹就是这个，实际上这个佛过这样。这个呢，就是这个一个等于一个坟墓似的，但上面它有这个尖顶。
Korea made pagodas similar to those of China by taking in the early Chinese brick-style pagodas. This Bunhuang Satap, which was built in the year 634 AD, looks like it is built with bricks, but it is a stone pagoda made by carving andesite into brick shapes. Later, the brick-style pagodas became stone pagodas, embodying a more complete form. The masterpiece of Korean pagodas is the Dabotap, a representative example of such. This pagoda, which is said to have been made in the mid-8th century, is so intricate and elaborate that it is hard to believe it is carved entirely of granite. The Sokatap faces the Dabotap, but embodies the opposite significance. The Sukkotap is the most typical Korean pagoda, which is simple, but having a complete beauty of harmony. Some Korean pagodas state their majestic appearance with natural backgrounds. This stone pagoda has a huge rock as its backdrop. The oldest and largest pagoda of Korea is the Miryuksaji stone pagoda. It has lost its original form over the long years, being whittled down by wind and rain, but it is still highly valued for its remaining intricately carved style.
우리나라의 탑은 역시 석탑이 가장 본색입니다. 그런데 이 석탑은 꽃게라든지 이런 것도 화강석의 그 반전, 끝이 이렇게 쭉 들려서 곡선을 짓는 그런 아름다움을 가지고 있으면서 상하의 가장 아름다운 조화를 찾고 있습니다.
We are all familiar with the clock tower of London, known as the Bin, Paris' Eiffel Tower, and Italy's the Leaning Tower of Pisa. These three famous towers once represented and still represent their countries. In Korea, China, and Japan, we also have towers that represent their countries. These towers long time ago were used for religion purposes, but now they're very popular among tourists that comes to visit the countries. Aren't you curious of what the three leading towers are for these countries?
Modern towers are larger than those of the past. The most modern tower of Korea is the Namsan Tower, located high atop a mountain in the heart of the capital city. This high-standing tower, though not of nature, has an artificial look, but remains beautiful in ways different from the traditional Korean pagodas. Japan's tower. This is also one of the most modern towers in existence today, attracting many tourists from around the world. As most towers are, this tower also serves various functions. Sometimes it is a place for family outings, and sometimes it is the center of modern science and technology. The tallest modern tower in China, the CCTV Tower. Although its main purpose is broadcasting, this tower also serves many diverse functions. It is a multi-purpose area where you can enjoy sightseeing in the observatory and even enjoy a meal with someone close to you. Being made only to serve man's needs, maybe the modern towers of today don't have as much of a high value as those towers of the past.
So, what do you think of the fascinating towers that I've been introduced to you on this show today? Right now, I'm standing in front of Korea's famous Namsan Tower. Like Namsan Tower, all the towers differ in size and shape. But just remember that it's not the size or the shape or the architecture that's important. It's what kind of meaning it expresses for the people and to the people that is important. Thank you for joining us today. And again, I'm Sunmin Kim, and I'll be joining you again on the next show.
China made bricks out of yellow earth to build its pagodas. Japan, which has an abundance of wood, made many wooden pagodas. Korea is a land of stones, so most pagodas are made of granite. The three BESETO countries' pagodas are in harmony with nature itself.